Hello, everyone. How you doing? It is Thursday. Well, at least in my part of the world. I don't know what it is in yours. Um, who knows? But welcome. How are you doing? Good to see you. Just sending out favor to everyone, invoking favor upon your life. And may this be the year of full restoration for you from all the things that have ever been stolen from you. And, sometimes it's the things that you can't see that have been stolen from you that you never realized how much you missed them. So maybe it returned back to you along with all those things that have been broken. Let's see them all mended. So how the heck is everyone? Hypnotherapy, good to see you. And I love tacos. Brad, Zora, hello. Robert, how you doing? Sarah, Dylan, hello. Pure Love Ascension, greetings. Shoots for Pa. Still Thursday there too, huh? Excellent. Merritt, True Helper, good to see you. Hey, Brian, how you doing, buddy? Music Alchemy, I love that. How you doing? Marion, good to see you, my dear. True Helper, hello. Denise, Sean, Barry, Mrs. B, Flight Risk, again, Jesse, hello, and Glenn, Wendy, Brad, Kenneth, boy, lots of people here. So how the heck is it going? I always like that when someone says, well, how's it going? And it's like, well, I'm here. So far, so good, right? So do you see the sign behind me? Now, I have a number of these little placards, and someone wanted to know what that was. Well, that's Groot up there with Rocket, Guardians of the Galaxy. So I put this up yesterday, and because I thought it was cool. Outer space. I mean, yeah, it's a great metaphor and many different things. So today I was watching Kindred Spirit, Ruth. And, if you're not over there subscribed, she does a daily reading, I think Monday through Friday, maybe Saturday, Sunday, I'm not sure. But folks, I mean, her cards, hey, do with it as you shall. But I would highly recommend that you put that on your list that I've watched the woman. And there comes a point in time where, you're going, whoa, wait a minute, wait a minute. This is too close to home, right? Reality. So I'm writing and doing other things as I'm listening to her. And she pulls up out of one of her deck of cards that she has. I think these were animals, obviously. And here come the otter card. I mean, literally, I'm typing along and I just drop what I'm doing, go up and pull the video up and then run it back and see again. And sure enough, there was the otter card. Now, I've never heard of an otter card, but I won't spoil it because you really should go over there and watch. I mean, come on, folks. How much synchronicity does it take before you realize that there is something afoot? There is. I wish I had these kind of synchronicities about 2 decades ago. No, actually, I'm glad I didn't, but could you imagine going into a gambling town with this kind of synchronicity going? Now, I don't know if it would work in altering the electronics. Who knows? But anyway, so here comes the otter. And it just, you just laugh. You just go far out is really what I said. I said, this is getting, and I actually wrote to her in her comment section. I said, this is like getting too real. So, yeah. Whose channel? It's Kindred Spirit. And Ruth has been on our show and on the channel, and she's going to come back. And I'm telling you, there you go. So thank you, Ruth. That was so much affirmation. You know, I'm still sitting here, and as my spirit man, I'm looking at this and I'm replaying it, and I'm going, well, now that's very interesting. And again, you have to admit, otters. How many times have you thought about an otter in a year? Much less a day. And then folks, think about the synchronicity here. I ordered that nearly, it was last week. And I have a bunch that I can choose from. But this one just was a psychic connection. I said, I liked it when I first saw it and when I bought it and when it came here. So I put it up yesterday afternoon after the show yesterday. And again, then 18 hours later, here is a person 5,000 miles away and pulls up an otter card. I mean, seriously, how much more evidence do you need to realize things have changed? And folks, they're changing faster. Again, here's another synchronicity. Subscriber here, she's been a subscriber for some time. And so Jill sends me this email and says, you really, if you haven't seen this book, you really ought to. And I just sat there just again going, what is going on here? I mean, this is happening in rapid succession, that here is another person who talked about a book that, was already in my library, was already in the Kindle. And I said, all right, I'm going to take that as all the confirmation I need. We need to be talking about that. So instead of talking about what I was going to talk about, when you got that kind of synchronicity going on, you got to go, okay, time out. Let's check this out. So anyway, is that just weird? Wow. I had this dream last night, and I kept waking up and was making a mental note of it because it was so bizarre. And each time I would go back to sleep, the dream would pick up where it left off. And apparently there is a new language, and that's what I was told. And I woke up, I guess it was exactly 4 different times. And each time I was going back, the dream picked up where it was at. Apparently there is a new language that's going to be taught. Now, I'll take it for myself. If any of you have dreams like that and it begins to affirm that, well, there you go. Want to give an update on Patrick. He was fine. And he wrote me just a little while ago and said his stomach pain returned with a vengeance, so much so that he has sought out medical help, his doctor, and apparently he may be on his way to the hospital. So let's just focus in on our friend Patrick. I don't like hearing this. I don't. And it bothers me. And So we just want to put Patrick in our thoughts. And listen, if you pray, there's nothing wrong with that. Fine. Just remember, prayer is nothing more than your agreement, your consent that you are telepathically in connection with an unseen deity. And since you're admitting that, that allows people like myself, as free thinkers, come in and say, well, no, wait a minute. Do you know what the odds take for just a single prayer to be answered? The circumstances that have to be rearranged, altered, replaced, set up, and then it becomes a, tentacles everywhere to get a single prayer answered. Whereas if you're in your own reality and you are merely interfacing to this greater one, it would make better sense that you would have more of an opportunity to focus in on those type of spirits that would be more aligned in manifesting out of the nothingness. And by the way, thank you all for the 40,000 subscribers. The channel is growing, and it's because of you. I just want to say thank you. It's an honor, and I'm humbled. And the response we got on that video, answered a lot of questions for people, and that's what it was designed to do. And if not answered, then allows you at least the freedom to question. And hopefully I put enough questions that all of us probably have thought at one time or another. So thank you again, all of you. It's an honor, and it humbles me. This is a journey. It's a journey for all of us. When you begin to make certain, how shall I say it? Absolutes. Very few absolutes in this life, very few. I guess the biggest one is the birth as we leave this death plane. That's inevitable. And once you reside yourself to that fact and you've broken yourself free of whatever virus, God spell you were under, and you begin to understand that you are spirit, well, it gets pretty far out, doesn't it? It does. It's like, okay, now I'm digging this. You have to excuse me. Got a little bit of I guess what they call smoke out there. Someone was doing one of their open pits. And anyway, and you have to admit it, this is getting really, we keep on seeing things, keep on hearing things. And boy, I think things are getting into afterburners. So I want to bring up a couple of things here for everyone. I've been watching this, and today has been a most peculiar day. So this is the USGS, for the world. It updates itself. I think it's every 30 seconds, maybe a minute. Here's what I have noticed this morning. And so follow with me, if you will. All right, over in Papua New Guinea, 10 kilometers, that's 6.2 miles. Another one, Papua New Guinea, 10 kilometers, 4.8, 5.1, 10 kilometers. Dominican Republic, 19, hold on, here we go. More in the same region, this region right in here, 10 kilometers, 10 kilometers. And as I began to look at this, I began to notice something. Then we begin to go east of Coral Islands, 10 kilometers. Again, more. And I'm scanning down here. Here's one, 10 kilometers, China. Here's one, Mexico, 10 kilometers. Here's another one. I think this may be, again, in the general Indonesian area. Keep on going down here. Here's the Carlsberg Ridge. So that's another one. And as I was going through here, here's one in Canada, 10 kilometers. Here's another one in Bhutan, 10 kilometers. Norwegian Sea, 10 kilometers. Seen a pattern? Yeah. I thought, well, maybe it was just this area here that was the anomaly, but it's not. It's virtually in every region around the world. Yeah, a little weird. So figure that one out. Just thought I'd show you. Here is another thing that those of us who watch these kind of things, this is Earth Null School. This is the jet stream. Then what you can do down here, now right now I have this on the poles. I can go over here to an equator view and now get this view here. Several interesting little anomalies. We're in the height of winter here in the northern hemisphere. We do now have a bifurcated polar jet stream vortex. You can see both of them. Little anomaly here. This is near the mid-Atlantic anomaly. When you begin to have the separation of the air masses intermix, that's not good. They're supposed to stay separated. So if we go back here and let's go again to our polar view, this is at the 10, it's about, let me get this correct, about 70,000 feet up. It's maybe a little higher. I think it's right about that area. So this is what I am seeing, which I thought was unusual. Europe has just been getting pounded, and this is why. You can see the polar vortex has separated itself. And normally where you would see it as it does down in Antarctica, it just simply solidifies itself and marches on. So what this is telling me that if it continues to do this, eventually it's going to get real cold here in the northern hemisphere. Real cold. We'll see it, how long it continues. Saw this as well. This is a great little tool for all of you aficionados that like to keep up on what's happening on the world. This is the network here that tells you can, if there's anything happening in the world, this website's going to let you know what it is, unless higher authorities intervene. I mean, you can literally go anywhere. Let's see what they have here. So here's an epidemic that's breaking out in Nigeria. Let's see what's happening over here in the United States. Let's move our map over. Let's see what we have here. We have, let's see, seems like we have a hazmat situation in, looks like in Texas. You see, anything that requires, the first responders, let's see, looks like we have biomass. Yeah, there's a biohazard in Flagstaff. I have no idea what that be. It could be a chemical spill, but anyway, I digress. Great website. It tells us also when there are, this is where we first spotted the first anomaly on these 6.2 miles, 10 kilometer earthquake movements. Here you go, right here. Here's another one. Indian Ocean just came up, as you can see, 5.1. Look at there, 10 kilometers. You know, unless that they're the mantle, right? Huh. Is there an ocean underneath there? Why would you have such a uniformity showing up at exactly 10 kilometers all over the world? It's weird. So anyway, check it out. If you're into that kind of stuff, which I am, I think to be well informed is to be able to make a well-made decision. And that's how I see it. You can see it your way. That's cool. Yeah, that's how it is anyway. So yeah, check that out. It's very, very strange indeed. So that kind of really leads into this. How many of you believe in miracles? Seriously. Now, I know it's difficult because it can't. Hey, Desmond, that's pretty cool. I agree with you. That when we look at things like miracles, we often associate them, I don't know, by default, that miracles are always associated with God, whatever God is defined by you. And that the pretense of looking at a divine being responsible for granting miracles, and miracles happen. I mean, you can look at it from another point of view and just say, well, it was a perfect lineup of circumstances. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's weak. I think it's hard to defend. But nevertheless, miracles happen. I'm living proof of that myself. I should have been dead by now. The 5 different times, attempts on my life in one form or another have been made. So, okay. Do I just call that destiny? Do I call that fate? Do I call that divine intervention? Now, if we go with the divine intervention route, well, let's just think about this. So this implies that there is an intelligence, sentient, apparently spirit, but somehow another mystically elevated. And I guess you can make enough requests, offers, rituals, whatever it is, invoking for divine intervention, a miracle. And it's always based on invoking a miracle. Many people have had to experience this where loved ones, where it was told, well, unless there's a miracle, there's nothing that can be done. So we all have that, and in every language and every culture, miracles are known, witnessed, sought, and received. But the idea, as Epictetus has said, that there is a God that can prevent evil and chooses not to, that can grant prayers, but only those he wishes. That's no God, folks. That's getting, you start have to become really looking at this from a psychological profile. What you really have here is a passive aggressive, narcissistic, egotistical non-emphatical, in other words, no emotion, but only upon a whim. You know, okay, I'll do you a favor, throw you a bone, you know. Now, to some that may sound like being sacrilegious. No, it's not. I mean, you just got to look at, there's many different ways. An apple is not solid red, but it's still an apple. So when I think of miracles today, miracles can happen in every one of our lives. But there are some different shifts that we have to look at this in order to grasp it. Now, someone had wrote me an email and had asked, well, are you going to get back to Hermetics? Well, I never left it. If you have studied the 7 principles, in these principles, you can manifest any miracle you need. Any. And not just once, as much as you need. It really, though, you see, I love what a person wrote to me today, and I wish she left it in the comments. So check it out over on the nothingness video. She said that the problem with people is that when they're in religion, they have their holy book, right? And they become so indoctrinated in their thinking that when posed with a question that challenges their belief systems, instead of resorting to free thought, they will resort to what? The script. What does an actor do when they're playing a role? They read the script. I mean, you begin to play this out, folks. And as long as you're reading the script, you're activating the virus. You get away from the script, the virus will die. It will. It has no life source to work off. And when you understand that the universe is mentalism, and you understand the principle of correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender is not male, female. When you begin to understand that this is not a cult, this is not it's nothing more than an observation from this temporal plane of existence and the principles that are at work in this realm. And if you can get a hold of this, it is the first step of your miracle, darling. There's someone right now you're looking for, I'll just say what it is. It came to me very clearly, a financial miracle. The way you're going about it, you'll never see it. The thing that is holding it back from manifesting in your life is that you're manifesting the worry of the fear of it not working, and it's nullifying all the efforts that you have been laboring to cause this to come to pass. So getting back to the whole thing on the mentalism, these are the foundation. They're the piers. You build your own foundation. You build your own structure. If the piers are down in the bedrock, to the core, they'll stand the test of even death itself. It's a fact. So if you can get that, you're on the first step of things changing. I always like to think of Brian, one of our moderators, Milky Way Weekly. Great story. I mean, living proof of it. And it takes some time. If we're in a prison matrix, which we've talked about a number of times, I think it's very valid we are. I was thinking this today in I was up early and looking at Centaurus and the Pleiades, and I was meditating. It's amazing how we have so constrained ourselves. And it's very difficult to really cut the cords. Sometimes cutting those cords are with loved ones, families, careers. Sometimes it's cutting the cord from the things that we've labored so difficult to obtain. And sometimes along that journey, unfortunately, we encounter very negative forces that manifest in sickness, disease, poverty, lack, depression. And then people begin to look to the divine for assistance, never realizing they are the miracle that they're seeking. They just don't know how to do it. And listen, it's difficult for all of us. When there's not enough food in the cupboard, when there's not enough money to cover the rent, when there's sometimes not enough money to keep warm, all the positive thinking in the world isn't going to help. Because there's something there most don't address. And it's so often the duality. I hope this works. We really need a miracle. So let's get on with how we can begin to check this out. Now, this is from the book, A Course in Miracles. It's on Amazon, Kindle, and wherever you see. I thought it was really great. I love this book. Because here's the deal. It helps teach what miracles are. And this is how we learn. This is how we build belief systems, is by how once we define something. Now, sometimes the definition has no relevancy to what it is. But nevertheless, everything is built from the same material. So here we go. Let's follow along. There is no order of difficulty in miracles. Now, these are principles of miracles, the meaning of miracles. Again, A Course in Miracles. One is not harder or bigger than another. They are all the same. All expressions of love are maximal. You see, this is why, folks, I started everyone to begin to see favor. Today, love has become contaminated. it no longer has the hierarchy. But favor is one thing. How can favor be harmful in all applications? Miracles, as such, do not matter. The only thing that matters is their source, which is far beyond evaluation. Miracles occur naturally as expressions of love. The real miracle is the love that inspires them. In this sense, everything that comes from love is a miracle. I happen to agree. How can you go wrong with that? It's just that so often, what does love mean? Now, I have a plaque right above the outer space placard. That's 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8. The best definition I have found of what love means. It's been a guidepost for me for nearly 38 years. All miracles mean life, and God is the giver of life. His voice will direct you very specifically. You will be told all you need to know. Now, the authors on this book were primarily atheists in their theology. And when they use the word God, it's metaphorical. You could put, and when source, infinite being, when spirit is the giver of life. Now we know in this case that the divine, the spirit, is neither male nor female. So just so we have that. But when you read, just, you can translate. It's easy. Miracles are habits. And should be involuntary. They should not be under conscious control. Consciously selected miracles can be misguided. Wow. Miracles are natural. When they do not occur, something has gone wrong. Wow. Isn't it odd how you and I live in a world where it's so negative? Because everything around us is negative. It's death. And we become reactive. A knock at the door. A call in the middle of the night. Could be just a wrong number. Someone's lost outside. But it is our tendency to immediately, flight or fight. There you go. Miracles are everyone's right, but purification is necessary first. And there is the gotcha. Most of us, and listen, I went through it. Longest point in my life, I found out I was my own saboteur. And that's how it is for many of us. Miracles are healing because they supply a lack. They are performed by those who temporarily have more for those who temporarily have less. You have to get over this core part, which is in so many people, regrettably, because the way the predatory economy system works is that lack is their biggest demon. It's their Satan. It's their adversary. They hate it, they live in it, and they want to become free of it. But I've known those spirits who say, I don't want to become free of it at the cost of my soul. Where do we find the balance? Miracles are a kind of exchange. Like all expressions of love, favor, which are always miraculous in the true sense, the exchange reverses the physical laws. What was I just showing you about the 7 principles? This falls under several of them: cause and effect, polarity, vibration, cause and effect. They bring more love, favor, both to the giver and the receiver. Now, in this day and age, so often in the business world, the corporate world, the political world, the social world, the church world, when someone shakes your hand, you want to make sure your hand is on your wallet. You shake someone's hand and says, "Oh, welcome. We're going to make lots of money on this. You know, we're going to be right there side by side." And the whole time, they're stabbing you in the back. Or your very best friend forever that you confide into betrays you. A lover. You see, a husband, a wife. Betrayal. It all pollutes. The use of miracles as spectacles to induce belief is a misunderstanding of their purpose. Hello? Are you getting it? Excuse me. Prayer is the medium of miracles. It is a means of communication of the Creator, the created with the Creator. Through prayer, love is received, and through miracles. I want to stop right here. Now, most people would immediately go to the word prayer and move on. But actually, the key to this whole point here is the word medium. Prayer is the medium of miracles. Now, I would take issue with this because I could say as well as prayer is nothing more than meditation. Prayer is nothing more than calling those things that be not as they all are not, seeing those things that be are as though they exist. That's what meditation does. Look within. But so often we get confused. Well, if I start thinking about becoming rich, I mean, what's my real point here? That's not spiritual. Well, define rich. So often people think it's only paper money. If people would only realize it's not money you lack. Let me tell you what it is. I'll tell every one of you how to become richer beyond anything you can ever imagine. But I'm going to tell you what your biggest problem is. It's not what's in your checking account. It's not what you have in the cupboard. It's not what you have in the gas tank. What you lack literally is wisdom. If you had wisdom, you would be able to see your way out of every situation you're in. You could literally change the physical laws. You don't have to rely on luck, hope, having other people supply you with your needs. It's wisdom. Plain and simple. We all lack it. Miracles are thoughts. Thoughts can represent the lower or bodily level of experience or the higher or spiritual level of experience. One makes the physical and the other creates the spiritual. Miracles are both beginnings and endings, and so they alter the temporal order. They are always affirmations of rebirth, which seem to go back, but really go forward. They undo the past in the present and thus release the future. I think some of you just saw that. I think you're getting what the author here is saying. This is deep, deep stuff, folks. This is, in fact, showing you what I've been saying to you. As a spirit entity, a spirit being, imagine the ability to go back into the past, rectify things, and it's within the 7 principles, so that the future comes to pass in a different direction. Miracles are both beginnings and endings, and so they alter the temporal order. Oh, folks, I hope you're getting this. They are always affirmations of rebirth, renewal, which seem to go back, but really go forward. They undo the past in the present and thus release the futures. What we were discussing yesterday about the nothingness. What we never understand is that, as Alan Watts teaches so eloquently, we're the moment. We are the present. We're not the future. We're not the past. Miracles bear witness to truth. They are convincing because they arise from conviction. Without conviction, they deteriorate into magic, which is a mindless and therefore destructive, or rather, the uncreative use of mind. Last year, had a person write and said, well, I'd like to have all of your spells that invoke money. And I wrote back, I said, literally, this is what I wrote, are you kidding me? You see, that's a person who is mindless. They don't have a clue what they're doing. They're the ones who will get themselves in trouble every time. They're the ones that are going to be tormented by the demons, the spirits. Let me tell you something. I want to bring this out to all of those that practice magic, those of you who are thinking about practicing magic. When you invoke the help of spirits to carry out your magic, you need to understand something. Those spirits are not, and hear me out, not dedicated to you. And what can be of help can hurt mercilessly. You don't know the spirits you're dealing with. And I've had people actually say, oh, yes, I do. Mm-hmm. You know, we haven't forgotten Ariel. We're going to continue to read the alien interview. My question to you, is the spirit lying to you? How would you know? Unless you really do understand and discipline your mind, it's what your spirit's been wanting to do, it can get a little messy. Each day should be devoted to miracles. The purpose of time is to enable you to learn how to use time constructively. It is thus a teaching device and a means to an end. Time will cease when it is no longer useful in facilitating learning. Miracles are teaching devices for demonstrating it is as blessed to give as to receive. They simultaneously increase the strength of the giver and supply strength to the receiver. Now, I've told you many times my story. You may not have a shilling. You may not have $1 to give, but there is something every person can give and use it as a surrogate, a substitute. And that's your time. I know one person who literally, she prayed herself out of poverty. And it wasn't the fact that she was praying to a God or a God did this, but what she did was that she focused in on one individual. And she stuck with that one individual, sometimes months, until she saw change in that individual's life. And as it is with this universal principle, what she sowed came back to her in a harvest. You know, the thing about it is, when you sow a seed, you don't get a single kernel. Let's say you sow a kernel of corn. It sprouts up. You do all the requirements necessary to nurture it. You're not going to get a kernel of corn back. You're going to get 1,000-fold return, if not greater. Just depends on how much time you stayed focused with it. Miracles transcend the body. They are sudden shifts into invisibility, away from the bodily level. That is why they heal. A miracle is a service. It is the maximal service that you can render to another. It is a way of loving your neighbor as yourself. You recognize your own and your neighbor's worth simultaneously. Miracles make minds one in God. They depend on cooperation because the sonship of the sum of all that God created. Miracles therefore reflect the laws of eternity, not of time. And I think you can easily see and translate this out of the religious Judeo-Christian context and just simply take it for what we know it really is. Miracles make minds one in God. You are God. How can you not be God? Ladies and gentlemen, it's so, they've had you buffaloed. It's in their script as well. How can God be separate from a spirit being? How can a spirit being be separate from God? It's impossible. That's why hell doesn't exist. If even the construct of hell was allowed to exist, then whoever the creator is there. Miracles reawaken the awareness that the spirit, not the body, is the altar of truth. This is the recognition that leads to the healing power of the miracle. Miracles are natural signs of forgiveness. If I can say one thing to you, if I can impart one seed that will set you free in so many ways, is that, my sister and my brother, you must learn to forgive and forget. You can't forgive and say, well, but I'll never forget. Nah, you liar. It only works when it's in combo. Imagine if you forgot, you would not have the need to forgive then, would you? Through miracles, you accept God's forgiveness by extending it to others. And let me just say this as commentary. It's not God's forgiveness you need to be seeking. It's your own. Learn to forgive yourself. You don't violate any laws other than yourself. But I'm telling you, 90% of the people that I try to talk to and that come to me on this, they find out months later, they'll write back and say, damn it, you were right. I had something inside of me that I've never forgiven myself. That's why people commit suicide. They fail to understand self. They were never taught. It's self-forgiveness. You can't forgive anything outside of yourself first. It's just that plain and simple, folks. Miracles are associated with fear only because of the belief that darkness can hide. You believe that what your physical eyes cannot see does not exist. This leads to a denial of spiritual sight. Miracles rearrange perception and place all levels in true perspective. This is healing because sickness comes from confusing the levels. Miracles enable you to heal the sick, raise the dead, because you made sickness and death yourself and can therefore abolish both. You are a miracle, capable of creating in the likeness of your creator. Everything else is your own nightmare and does not exist. Only the creations of light are real. We're going to break off there, folks. We'll pick this up maybe tomorrow. I'm telling you, we get this collectively in this little enclave. Yeah. They don't go to hell, true heart. They don't. Hell exists within the thought construct. Again, how can hell exist if by the very definitions of those who made that definition, remember, it's invented by the church. So explain to me how God can be in all things at all times, that without him there is nothing that was not made that is not made. Seriously? Get over it. There is no hell. How can a spirit being dominate another spirit being? And if you have tormentors in hell, then they're working for God, the very God that puts your sorry ass in there. And what are they doing tormenting you when you should be tormenting them? Oh, man. Get it in your heads. It's invented. That religion has amplified to control you even beyond the grave. Okay. Woo! There we go. Folks, at some point in time, you're either just going to be sucked into it or you're going to get yourself out of it. You know why I am the biggest threat, as one pastor wrote me? He says, because you're more resolute than any Christian I ever met. He says, you can state your point so factual that he says, I have no room for argument. He says, you are the biggest threat. We are the biggest threat. When you're no longer controlled, when you no longer have any fear, you are the biggest spiritual threat ever. And when you begin to understand and believe in that, no demon, no angel, no God is going to be able to dominate you. None. You are God. All right, tune in tonight. We're going to be talking over on the Steiger Perspective and the artistfirst.com, the bifurcation of the world. It's happening. And if you don't know what bifurcation or bifurcated means, go look it up. Because this is what's happening, folks, even here. Even here. Thank you, all of you. I just speak favor over all of your lives. Restoration, ladies and gentlemen, is restoration of your spirit as well. You are a being of light. You're not going to get to go to the light. You are the light. All right. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow. Appreciate all of you so much. Thank you for enriching my journey. And you're the miracle. You know, if I could just, in part, lay hands on you and just let that permeate the essence of your being, you're going to wake up, sweetheart, and it's going to be miraculous. All right, folks, we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.